I was incredibly excited for the Switch 2, but 2 months in, I'm struggling, to say the least. There are some things that are beginning to really grind my gears, and I'll be honest, are pushing me away from my Switch 2. Not even anything really at the fault of the games, the actual playing of the system, but it's some of the usability stuff. Also the things Nintendo as a company is doing. As it currently stands, the Switch 2's launch lineup and the preceding games to come out after has been received generally, I would argue, more mixed than appreciated or loved or just widely acclaimed or anything like that. Like, there have been some highlights, like people really like Mario Kart until Nintendo ruined online, and people love Donkey Kong Bonanza. But if you're not a Donkey Kong fan or a huge Mario Kart guy, there really isn't a lot for you to do right now. And I'm a person who likes to own the funny games. I don't even know how to properly describe it, but in your head, a game to me that is incredibly funny to own on a Switch 2 would be Elden Ring, which is the game I've been most excited about taking on the go because hopefully it maintains a locked 60 FPS, which is what I'm hoping for when that game comes out eventually. And it's those kinds of games that I find the most interesting, basically the high-end third-party games. But outside of like Hogwarts Legacy coming out at the launch of the Switch 2, there really hasn't been anything that really stood out as an entertaining, funny game to me to own on the system. Because when you think of a Nintendo system, you don't play Dark Souls on it. But me, I think that is absolutely hilarious. And when I get asked by my friends, oh, how did you play Dark Souls Remastered? I tell them I played it on my Nintendo Switch, not on my amazing gaming PC, on the Nintendo Switch that plays and runs like an Xbox 360. So for me personally, there really hasn't been a lot to do on the Switch because of that. Some highlight games like I'm looking forward to is Elden Ring, but we don't really have a release date for that yet. And hopefully we find out more during Gamescom potentially of what any more information about the release date for that game is. We just got a Kirby Direct, which people seem to be pretty overall enthusiastic about it. I didn't personally watch it because I'm not getting Kirby. I've never been a Kirby guy, but I might check it out when it comes out. I don't know. But something I'm primarily looking forward to, at least that has a release date, is Borderlands 4. So while I might not have a ton of games to play right now, I do have something to do, like play through all the Pokemon games on Nintendo Switch, because when my original Switch one died, I lost all my Pokemon saves. So I get to have the joy of replaying all the Pokemon games on Switch, which has been keeping me occupied for the last 2 months. But something that has become abundantly clear after using the Switch 2, which has primarily been my most prevalent issue, has been the Joy-Cons. These things, I initially thought they were a lot better than the original. And it's not even due to like drift or anything, but I got so used to using these Nixie controllers as displayed on screen. They're my favorite controllers from my Switch 1 before it died. And I loved them. They were incredibly comfortable, and it made playing games that were more orientated like Overwatch, Fortnite, Dark Souls, like games that felt more console and more actually gaming rather than just relatively simpler in concept Nintendo games. Because at the end of the day, who really cares if your joystick is a little bit wonky when you're playing New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe? I mean, it doesn't matter if it's the best way to play in terms of controls, because playing the game is still a lot of fun. But playing a game like Overwatch or Dark Souls Remastered on Switch with Joy-Cons is just the worst way to play. And it is already a compromised experience on the Switch. Don't compromise on the controls, and the Nixie controller at the time was my solution. Prior to that, I used the Hori Split Pad Pro, which is something that I hope we get on the Switch too, because as it currently stands, I hate the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Con 2s are an improvement over the originals, but not in any way that realistically matters long term, because these aren't Hall effects, so they will get Joy-Con drift. I've already seen people starting to complain about it, though much less than the original Switch, but I anticipate as the Switch gets older, we might see this more and more and more, because the original Switch didn't out the gate come out with Joy-Con drift issues. That happened like a few years into it, and then everybody's Joy-Con started to die. So I highly suspect in a couple years from now, we might start seeing more reports of this issue. Honestly, the Switch 2's Joy-Cons are such just poorly built, unergonomic, just not very comfortable to use, that I haven't really touched my Switch in like a week or two, week and a half, because of just how uncomfortable, and like every time I pick it up to play, because I primarily like to play in portable mode. I pick it up and play, and it's just not great. I grab the Switch, I hold it in my hands, I'm about to hit the power button, and I realize I don't like how this feels. I've been playing more in dock mode because of that, but I just also don't really like dock mode. The Switch to me feels, at least in practice, in terms of how games look and feel, just play better on portable mode than they do in desktop mode, or docked mode in this instance, technically. So, at least for me personally, portable mode is the way I like to play, it's the way I prefer to play, even if it means I don't play my Switch, in this case Switch 2. And so I honestly can't wait until Split Pad Pro for the Switch 2 come out, or Nixie 2 controllers, or the MOBA Pad controllers, or even something like the Nitro deck, which was really cool, but in practice, I didn't really like it in concept. I didn't like how it fully encompassed the Switch. It also just made it a lot thicker, and I just didn't really enjoy it. Though in practice, it was a better experience. It wasn't the kind of experience that I personally wanted. But at this point, I'll take anything, because that is just how much I dislike the Joy-Cons. That is pretty much the only physical feature of the Switch 2 that I just demonstrably dislike. Gaming performance in games have been great, and I think the Switch 2 is going to have a very long life, but it is really slow going, and Nintendo as a company at the moment they care, but they, for some reason, really want to drip feed us, and they're keeping their cards close to their chest, refusing to give a scrap of information about what exactly their plan is, because currently we don't have a release date for Metroid Prime 4, we don't have a release date for Elden Ring, we don't have any word of what they're doing for Mario's 40th anniversary, we just have a bunch of rumor and speculation about a possible direct happening in September, which anybody could have told you, because for the last dozen years, hyperbole, but for quite some time, we have predictably got a direct in September. So it's not that crazy to just assume one potentially is happening. How big that direct may be is debatable, but there probably will be one, and just watch me be wrong, and it's gonna be hilarious. So I have a propensity of these kinds of clips aging like milk, but I have a strong feeling that I'm correct in this instance. Compounding their lack of forwardness and just openness with information and transparency, we have been dealing with issues of people getting banned for no reason other than buying a used game from GameStop or off of Marketplace. People have been having issues with game key cards, and just the overall industry and consumer reaction to game key cards has generally been, let's just say, not very enthusiastic. I love the Switch 2, but at the moment, it's just not ready for most people. The average consumer would be better served by other options, even as going back as just to buy an original Nintendo Switch, because at least, for what it's worth, that is a finished product with a wide range of third-party accessories to improve the experience. And yes, even though Nintendo has raised the prices, a ton of stores have refused to honor the price or immediately put it to discount to make it look better. So there really hasn't been a massive amount of industry change or just general industry pushback against Nintendo's price increases. So I'll be honest, people buying a Switch 2, you better love Mario Kart and Donkey Kong, because from what it feels like, that's all you're going to be getting for at least another couple of months. And if you absolutely hate the Joy-Cons, you're probably going to end up waiting till like early next year for any new Joy-Con replacement accessories. I would love to hear what you guys think about this down below. All the other social media garbage down below. And last but not least, have a wonderful day.